So the death and decay of the entire story is all the result of Claudius. So.
Exactly. Claudius starts a domino effect of death and decay. He himself is corrupted and spreads it to everybody around him.
I think it starts when Claudius kills King Hamlet, being in his twisted state of mind, which caused all the other death pursuits. When he killed King Hamlet, Hamlet just didn't stay dead. He came back in the form of a ghost, and he drags Hamlet into corruption with him by forming a revenge plot.
Yeah, and that's also why Hamlet starts decaying, is because of King Hamlet's ghost and when he came back. So then Hamlet gets twisted in his own pursuit of rage, and then that travels down into the decay of Polonius, who then starts spying and becoming a nosy rat and getting into things that don't involve him, which then causes him to be away from his daughter and all that.
And because of this decay in Polonius, his acts of espionage gets him killed by Hamlet. And because Polonius dies, it pushes Ophelia into a decay of mental state, which results in her death.
And then this death pushes Laertes over his limits, which also enrages Hamlet to go from a sweet schoolboy persona into a revenge-filled mastermind.
And then everyone eventually ends up dying, and this all started because of the one twisted being Claudius, that he was so focused on what he was doing that he brought everyone down with him.
Okay, so in this project we can basically talk about death and decay and how it's one of the most noticeable motifs in the play.
We can also mention how death and decay, when it starts, it keeps continuing on throughout the play, and it transforms pure and untainted people into all these monsters, and it just keeps spreading it out. It's not it just stops, but it keeps going.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw and resolve itself into dew. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh God, God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the issues of this world. Fine, fine, 'tis an unweeded garden that grows the seed. Things rank and gross, and nature possesses it merely, that it should come to this, but 2 months dead, nay, not too much, not two. So excellent a king that was to this Hyperion to satyr, so loving to my mother, that he might not beteem the winds of heaven, visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember? Why, she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown. By what it fed on, yet within a month. Let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or even those shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body. Like Niobe, all tears. Why she, even she, oh God, a beast that wants this course of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, ere yet the soul of most unrighteous tears had left a flushing in her galled eyes, she married. Oh, most wicked speed, to pose with such dexterity to incestuous cheats. It is not, nor cannot come to good, but break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.
Hamlet says things rank and grow in nature possess it merely, so things that rank and grow are essentially decaying, and if it possesses something, then obviously it takes over it, and so...
And I think by mentioning things rank and gross, it's kind of talking about weeds, and if you have a flower garden, the weeds kind of just spread over, and they kill off the pure objects, which is the flowers, and they kind of take over the garden, and spread their own weeds through it.
It's impure things, once they become impure, they can't go back, so... and then also Hamlet says in the first few lines, he says that this too solid flesh would melt, and then by that he means when the solid flesh or solid flesh, it's stained, it's decaying and impure, and then he also says it would melt, but then when it's melting, it's really easy to get mixed up with impure things, and then that's all.
So if it's some, yeah, okay. And then that kind of ties into how Gertrude kind of comes, because first she was unpure, and then it says here the tism weed that grows to seed. So the weed of basically everything that happened before it. So it was Claudius's murdering of King Hamlet and King Hamlet dying and all that. That kind of grows over her pureness and kind of taints her in a way. And then when she fully marries, it says right here, around line 145, it says, why she would hang on him as if an increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. So that shows how pure she was. Every time she would be near King Hamlet, she would love him and want to be with him even more. Her appetite would grow, so she would want to be here more. But then later it says that within a month she married. So it shows her decay, because she went from loving King Hamlet and wanting to be with him every second to kind of just marrying within a month. So it's kind of like she like just throws him aside in a way. So she loses like, she starts decaying in her values. And then I feel like that's shown more drastically by comparing it to Niobe, because Niobe, she like when she lost her children, she would like start crying, and she turned to stone because she was mourning for so long. But then that's like completely opposite to Gertrude, who just kind of gets over it really fast.
I think once Claudius comes in, it kind of, his impurity rubs off on
Mhm.
her. So.
Yeah, so then she's like opposite of the goddess, because the goddesses are pure, and by comparing her, it shows how impure she became.
Now must your conscience my acquaintance seal, and you must put me in your heart for friend. Sith you have heard him with a knowing ear, that which hath your noble father slain, pursued my life.
It appears well, but tell me, why you proceed not against his fates? So criminal and so capital of nature, as by your safety, wisdom, all things else, you merely were stirred up.
Oh, for two special reasons, which may to you perhaps seem much unsinno, but yet to me they are strong. The queen and his mother lives almost by his looks, and for myself my virtue or my plague. But be it which either, she is conjunctive to my life and soul. That is the star moves, but not in his spirit. I could not but buy her. The other motive why to a public count I might not go is the great love the general gender bear him, who, dipping all of his faults in their affection, would like the spring that turneth wood to stone, convert gyves to graces, so that my arrows too slightly timbered for allowed a wind would have reverted to my bow again, and not where I had aimed them.
And so I, a noble father lost, a sister driven into desperate terms, whose worth, if praises may go back again, should challenge her on the mount of all the age for her perfections. But my revenge will come.
Break not your sleeps for that. You must not think that we are made of stuff so flat and dull that we can let our beard be shook with danger and think it pastime. You shortly shall hear more. I loved your father, and we love ourselves, and that, I hope, will teach you to imagine. Laertes, was your father dear to you, or were you like the painting of sorrow, a face without a heart?
I ask you this.
Not that I think you do not love your father, but I know now that love is begun with time, and that I see in passages of proof that time qualifies the spark and fire of it. There lies within the very flame of love a kind of wick or snuff that will abate it, and nothing is at like goodness still, for goodness growing to a pleurisy dies in its own too much, that we would do. We should do when we would, for this wood changes, and hath abatements and delays as many, as there are tongues, our hands, our accidents. And then this should is like a spendthrift sigh that hurts by easing, but to the quick of the ulcer, Hamlet comes back. What would you undertake to show yourself in the deed of your father's son more than in words?
To cut his throat in the church?
One woe doth trend upon another's heel, so fast they follow. Your sister is drowned, Laertes.
Alas, then, is she drowned?
Drowned.
How much water hast thou for Silvia? And therefore I presume my tears. To get is our trick, nature her custom holds, but shame say it well. When these are gone, the woman will be out. Adieu, my lord. I have a speech of fire that fame will blaze, but thou wilt always goddess.
Laertes and Hamlet in this scene, they both start like the cycle of revenge here, because it was first Hamlet's father that died, and then he wanted revenge. But then afterwards, when Polonius dies, Laertes also kind of followed in like Hamlet's footsteps. It's like the same exact cycle that continues again.
Yeah, so in this scene, like Laertes' anger made him easily to be manipulated. So because of his strong want of revenge, it led to him willing to do anything for revenge.
And his rationality also decayed and led to his eventual death by his own weapon, which is the poisoned rapier, which makes the situation ironic, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And like his decay, I believe, starts from when, like, in the beginning, how when he was talking with his dad, they were kind of suggesting that he was like a really good guy and everything. But then later he mentions that he's going to cut Hamlet's throat in the church, which kind of shows like church is supposed to be like a peaceful and sanctuous place, but because he decides that he's going to kill Hamlet there, it kind of shows his decay of like values and morals, that he doesn't even like reason things out anymore. He's just kind of act on impulse because of the revenge plot.
Kind of following up on what Amanda said before with the poison rapier. It's like both of them, he plans that and also the poison cup, and then in the end he kind of dies because both of them, and it adds to the irony that he did that.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it all started with Claudius though, because and like a lot of things come back to Claudius too, because he planned to kill King Hamlet, and then he planned to kill Hamlet after that, and then his kind of, due to his actions and stuff, Polonius ended up dying, and so did like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They kind of died because of his part too, not like directly but kind of indirectly to it. And then like Gertrude, she like married someone else, like, or she married him like right after, pretty quickly.
I think like a month after.
And then yeah, it was a month.
Usually that's like don't you mourn during that time?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
So like that just started the decay further, and it spread because everybody else after Claudius kind of decayed and did bad things also, just like Laertes.
And it wasn't like everybody against Claudius died. It was both sides. Like even like you said, the Guildenstern and Rosenkreuz, they both died too. But then they were helping Claudius, and they kind of just fell to it.
And they were like his childhood friends too, so it shows how they decayed because they were his friends, and then they kind of sunk to the values of just killing their own friend.
Hamlet, come, take this hand from me.
Give me your pardon, sir. I've done you wrong, but pardon it, as you are a gentleman. This present knows that you must needs have heard how I am punished with sore distraction. What I have done, that might your nature, honor, and expectation roughly awake. I here proclaim this madness. Was it Hamlet wrong, Laertes? Never Hamlet. If Hamlet from himself be taken away, and when he's not himself does wrong Laertes, then Hamlet does it not. Hamlet denies it. Who does it then? His madness. If it be so, Hamlet is one of the faction that is wrong. His madness is for Hamlet's enemy. Sir, in this audience,
I am satisfied in nature, whose motive in this case may stir me most to my revenge. But in my terms of honor, I stand aloof, and will not reconcile, till by some elder master of unknown honor, I have a voice, precedent of peace, to keep my name ungored. But till that time, I do receive your offered love like love, and will not wrong it.
I embrace it freely, and will this brother's wager frankly play. Give us the foils, come on.
Come, one for me.
I'll be a foil, Laertes. In mine ignorance, your skill shall, like a star in its darkest night, stick fiery off indeed.
You mock me, sir!
No, by this hand. Your grace hath laid the odds o'er the weaker side.
This is too heavy. Let me see another.
This likes me well. These foils have all length.
The trumpet to the cannoneer without, the cannons to the heavens to the earth. Now the king's dunk to Hamlet, come begin, and you the judges bear a wary eye.
Come on, sir.
Come, my lord.
One.
No. Well, again.
Okay. Our son shall win.
He's fat and scant of breath. Here, Hamlet, take my napkin, rub thy brows. The queen caresses to thy fortune, Hamlet.
Gertrude, do not drink.
I will, my lord. I pray you pardon me.
It's the poisoned cup. It's too late.
Ha! Have at you now.
Hurt them, they're incensed.
Nay, come again. Oh, villainy, ho, let the door be locked. Treachery, seek it out.
No menace of the world can do thee good. In thee there is not half an hour in thy life. The treacherous instrument in thy hand, unabated, envenomed, the foul practice hath turned itself on me. Lo, here I lie, never to rise again. Thy mother is poisoned, they can no more. The king's to blame.
The point in venom too? Then venom to thy work.
Treason! Treason! Oh, yet defend me, friends. I am but hurt.
Here, thou incestuous, murderous David Thane, drink of this poison. Is thy union here? Follow my mother.
He is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself.
Heaven make thee free of it, I follow thee. I am dead, Horatio. Had I but time, as this fell sergeant death is strict in his arrest. Oh, I could tell you, but let it be, Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest, report me and my causes aright to the unsatisfied.
Never believe it. I am more an antique Roman than a Dane. Here's yet some liquor left.
Give me the cup, let go, by heaven I'll have it. What a wounded name. Things standing thus unknown shall live behind me, if thou didst ever hold me in thy heart. Absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. Oh, I die, Horatio, oh.
Now
oh,
cracks the noble
oh.
heart. Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. Why? Does that...
So this scene, Act 5, Scene 2, the end of it shows like the result of Claudius's planning, which is like a domino effect because everyone dies.
And Fortinbras's entrance compares to Claudius, in which he symbolizes the hope that comes to the country to rid of Claudius's decaying and the death.
Yeah, and since Claudius is kind of like the root and planner of like all this evil and the spread of decay, when he ends up dying, that's like when the weed stops growing, and then when Fortinbras comes in and like everything, then it kind of stops at them because he already died. So yeah, so like the poison that he drank was the weed killer, so it kind of stopped all the weeds from growing, you know, and spreading even further. So then Fortinbras just comes into this mess, and then he picks it up and cleans it up. So now you can have like a nice and clean country.